Hello, brother sewing and crafting family. Angela Wolf here. And guess what? It is National Sewing Month, which actually I think that should be every month. But technically, this is National Sewing Month. So we've got a lot of fun shows for you. Today, we're kicking it off with a couple of your favorite educators, which you love them all. But we've got two fun ones here. You know, Kathy and Tina. We've got some tips for you for organizing. So pop in, say hi. We are live. So while I go get them, you can enjoy this. We'll be right back. Hello, Tina, Kathy, I'm so excited to see you. And today is one of my favorite, but kind of least favorite topics because I seem to not, maybe that's why we have National Sewing Month, because I get off on a kick with all of you with all of our organizing tips. And by now, a whole year, I'm looking around going, what happened to the tips from last year?
That's so true.
Oh my gosh. So I see the Brothers Sewing and Crafting family rolling in. We're live on YouTube and Facebook, and we're so excited to see you. And today is organizing tips for your sewing room. And we've got a lot of them. In fact, if you want to get more, you can go back and watch last year's show and the year before and the year before. National Sewing Month always seems to be that and January 1st. So I have to say, I'm looking around my studio right now. I've got a class coming in 2 weeks, and I know some of them are here watching, and it looks like a hot mess. That's all I can say. So, Kathy, Tina, I'm very excited you're here. I'm going to let Tina start. We're going to go back and forth with some of the things that we have. But in the comments, leave us a comment on what your favorite organizing tip is, whether it be for thread, for whatever. But Tina, I'm going to let you kick it off first and give us a couple tips.
All right. Well, it's funny that you said that your room is a hot mess. It seems like as soon as I get mine cleaned up, it unorganizes itself, right? So it's definitely a constant work in process. In fact, my family makes fun of me. They made up a word for me called clean-ganizing, which means I'm cleaning up after myself and reorganizing. And then my oldest daughter goes, well, that means in 6 months you'll know where you put stuff, right?
That is so true. So true.
Oh my goodness. Well, I thought I'd start off with a couple of my biggest challenges. So I'm probably like everyone else. I have lots of stuff and I have a limited amount of space. And so I'm big on utilizing vertical space for storage. So I thought maybe we would start with how I deal with my stabilizer.
That sounds good. Let me just bring you up by yourself. There you go, Tina. I hit the wrong button.
Let me show you a quick picture of my stabilizer because I made a hanger and it hangs on a door. So literally it's only taken up about 4 inches of total space. And it's a really simple DIY project if you guys are interested in doing something like this at home. So let me pop over to my other camera because I did a quick little step out because this one's just, it's too easy not to think about doing. So basically to make it, here I have canvas, or you could use like an upholstery weight fabric. Now you could be as fancy as you want. I did this one pretty simple. So I've just serged the edges, folded over the top, put a couple grommets in here that hang on those hooks over the door hooks. And then the individual storage little pockets are just medium weight vinyl. And I just cut it to the width of my widest stabilizer roll, which for me is 20 inches. And then this is just double fold bias tape. So basically fold it in half, stitch across here, line it up where you want it here, and stitch it down to the base fabric. And right now I have it with those little faux vinyl rolls that I use for In the Who projects. But then it gets everything. You can see it, you know, when you need to replenish. And it, like I said, it doesn't take up very much space at all. So I really like this idea. I will say at home, if you're going to do it for those big stabilizer rolls, make the fold at the top a little bit bigger, maybe like 2.5 inches. And I actually feed a wooden dowel rod through here and then put the grommets under it, and it keeps it from bowing in the middle.
That is a really, really, really cute idea. I'm going to bring all three of us back up here. We just had a little glitch right there. There we are. So that's super easy to do. Super easy to do. And if you don't want to use grommets, you could even embroider buttonholes, the big buttonholes, if you want them to be really pretty, but that's a lot faster.
You definitely can. And the vinyl is easy. If you can't find it at the fabric store, just get one of those heavyweight clear vinyl shower curtain linings. I mean, and in fact, the one I made this out of yesterday this is really funny. It was a tablecloth cover, which I didn't know that was a thing, but it was on clearance. So I don't think anybody else knew it was a thing either.
I do remember those. My grandmother had one, so it didn't mess up the table with anything hot on the nice wooden table. Then she'd put something over it. But I don't think I've seen one since then, which is a long time ago. Okay, clearance rack for plastic. Great idea. So what do you guys think of that? Everyone's saying I love the idea. Helen, Helen says yes. Helen, I'm cleaning before you get here. Don't worry. Great idea, Jill says. All right, Kathy, you give us a little idea here of something that you like to store.
Well,
I'm looking around. By the way, somebody said they love your sewing room. It's turning out great. Everybody knows Kathy's renovating her storage or her sewing space, and it's looking good.
It does.
So all of the thread that used to be on the walls behind me is now in little drawers. So I have a drawer set.
I'm still trying to get this up. Hold on a second. Let me get you in here. I don't know why it doesn't want to give you a full space, but it will. Go ahead.
So I have these drawers that I bought and little inserts to put in the drawers to put in my little thread tower now. But, you know, thread's always a problem with how much do you need? And my saying is you never can have enough. But one of my other little tips, this is an unusual thing that you might use for storage. This is a recycled or upcycled frosting container. You know, the pre-made frosting you can buy in the grocery store. I took it and I put a hole in the top to put my used needles in. And I used to do that with a upcycled pill bottle, but then I found that I had no place to store my used rotary blades. You can see them in the bottom here. So that's where this came in handy.
That's a good idea, Kathy, because you're right. The pill bottle isn't quite big enough for the rotary blades. I end up putting the rotary blades back. I have like one old one where I put the old ones back in an old one with a, you know, I use my P-Touch to put used, but you can only fit 5 or 6 in there, and then you got to toss them. That's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
That really is a great idea. I'm gonna copy that one this afternoon.
I know. Actually, I think I should copy that immediately because I have a stack of rotary blades that I've been using for paper, which I know you're not supposed to. Now I got to clean them all up and put new ones on. I was just thinking, Tina, you have, we were talking about thread because I store my thread the same way you do. And there are different places you can get these. And then I also store my serger thread in this one as well, which keeps them really nice and organized as far as not having them all over the place. Tina, you use something similar too, didn't you?
I do. So anyway, I'm going to do my camera overhead real quick. These are little scrapbooking containers. Now you guys are ahead of me with the little inserts at the bottom, but I just put them all in here. And this is my brother thread. I keep it all organized for like the Disney designs, but the rest of my thread is sorted by color family. And then I'll show you a quick picture because this was literally from a scrapbooking storage container, and they have those little plastic frames that you see. That's the black in the picture. And you know, thread by the spool isn't very heavy, but when you get like 200 spools of thread, it's really heavy. So my plastic towers were leaning. So my husband, when I was out of town, made me this little wooden case on casters to slide those into. So now it stands up straight. It's no longer the leaning tower of thread.
Oh, I love the leaning tower of thread. I love that idea. By the way, I don't know if you ladies can see all of the comments rolling on here. I'm cracking up, so hold on. Miss Maureen says now she has to eat an entire thing of frosting so she can store her rotary blades. I love that. Parmesan cheese container. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Oh, the 12 by 12 scrapbooking. I just found the best deal ever, and I can't can't say where because it's not a brother product, but if you message me, I can tell you. But it's basically just one of the shops I was in. And on the side, kind of like what you said, Tina, where they were in the clearance aisle, like somebody maybe didn't know what they were. They were a bunch of scrapbooking, and scrapbooking's still in, but it must be out this month because it was a fantastic deal. So I ended up getting, and they're the exact same size as this. So I ended up getting a whole bunch of them for like $10, the whole pile of them. Like, oh, this is going to be so organized. Now I just got to put stuff in them and remember where they are.
There you go.
Oh, yes. Pringles will work. All right. So we have more. Tina, give us a few more tips on your side.
All right. So let's talk about fabric for a minute. I don't know about you guys, but you know, if I use 10% of the fabric I have before my life is over, it'll be a good day, right? But the challenge is how to store it and then how to find it when you need it so you don't end up buying the 47th piece of yellow fabric for a project. So I've tried lots of things. I've had it in bins. I've had it in stacks. And I like my newest system the best of anything I've ever tried. So let me show you a picture of it in storage first. So you can see basically what I do is I fold the fabric and then wrap it around their little comic book covers and clip them with these little plastic clips and then stick them on a shelf, and I try and sort them by color. So then when I'm going to do a project, I just basically run in there and I can quickly and easily find the color that I need. And also, like if I know I've got a project coming up and need a certain color, I can check really quickly before I go out to see if I need to buy something. But let's look at how I get those on there. In case you haven't seen this before, we're just going to pop over to the overhead camera. So basically, you can buy these online. They're little cardboard pieces, and I guess they're sized for comic book covers. I'm not a comic book collector, but I love that they made these because it made my fabric storage easier. And then basically just you fold your fabric, and what I do is basically fold it, the selvage edges together, and then fold it one more time. And then you basically just wrap it around the board. And they normally sell these little plastic clips that come with it. And just clip them really quickly, just like this. And then you can store it vertically, and it makes it super easy and quick to figure out what you have, right? And also to find the exact one that you need. So again, I've tried all kinds of systems, but for me, this is the one that works the best.
That's a great idea. And I'm watching the comments. Anne said that's how they store theirs. Michelle also stores hers that way. I remember we were talking about that last year, and I thought that is such a great idea for, especially if you don't have, like I have a lot of big bolts, which that won't work. But when you have just like a half of a yard and a quarter of a yard and you want to organize them and find them. So Tina, if I send you the stack over here.
I just reordered. I got a stack of the cardboard things about this high. So send them over.
Oh my gosh, this is such great ideas and perfect timing. Perfect timing for, I don't know, I consider September kind of like March. Spring cleaning is March. September is kind of like get everything ready, get everything organized for the winter months, right?
Yeah, totally.
Plus, you guys have been very busy getting things ready for the new machine that everybody's so excited for. So now it's kind of like get our studios back in order where we can show everything that's happening. All right, so let's see. What else do you guys have? I'm just checking to see if there's any questions. Oh, someone says, what about for apparel storage? Oh, that's a whole different ball of wax.
Oh.
Nobody answered that. Marvina, did you notice? Like nobody, actually, I have a tip for that. So I have some sweaters that I use all winter, and I get really allergic to dust. So I store them in thin bins and place them under the bed. And then right now when September comes, I come and take all them out, rewash them all. Just, they shouldn't have gotten dust, but then they're ready to go for winter, and they come, and then I put all of my summer stuff that I'm not going to wear at all. I mean, sometimes I'll still wear some of this stuff through October, but like bathing suits and stuff like that, just go and replace them. That's how I store that's how I kind of save when you have limited closet space, right?
That's a smart idea. I like.
Yeah. All right, Kathy, you have more back there. What do you got for us?
Well, I like to use things that, I don't know, it's things that I've run across that are not your typical sewing organizers. But this was left over from one of the grandkids being small. It's the little snack cups that they make that has this lid screws on and off. And then there's this little half of the lid that pops up. So it's easy for kids to get their little snacks and stuff out of. But I've got safety pins stored in mine. These are my quilt basting pins. So I use those quite often. So it just makes a nice little storage bin. I keep my little clips for sewing in another one as well. And again, I do like Tina does. As far as the fabric, I've been doing this for several years and using these little plastic clips that you see on men's folded dress shirts from the cleaners. So that's another thing. But it's a matter of, what is going to fit in what bin. Baskets I use quite often. And then I can sort things into different little zipper bags. They also make good pattern storage bins. So
That's a very cute idea as well. I love the baskets. In fact, I have quite a few that I just picked up. All summer I kind of gather stuff knowing that I'm going to organize by the end of the summer. I love the baskets though, because you can see what's in there. And as long as you have a place to put them, that was my difficulty. But I found one shelf now that I use just for the baskets, so I can just glance and see what's there. It works out so nice. So nice. Okay, so Marvita said, actually, I was talking about apparel fabrics. So you could still do apparel fabrics the same way they just showed you, except if you were using a silk or something like that, you wouldn't want clips in there. So, I mean, I personally, you can probably see that bin behind Shirley here. I have shelves, the shelving units that have little boxes, and I will fold the fabric that I plan on using. I say that loosely because for those of you that have been following me for a long time, know that probably there's a couple pieces there that haven't been moved in a couple years, but I always keep it kind of like a storyboard of what I want to sew. So I organize it by colors. And then if I get to it by the end of the season, I do. If I don't, it goes into a bin and I replace the stuff for the next season. So it's kind of like my working closet that isn't sewn yet. That's kind of what I do for my apparel fabrics. Do you girls have any other suggestions?
I basically store mine on the bolt, and it's sort of similar to what I showed you with the crafting fabrics. That's just in a bigger cabinet.
Yeah. And you know what? I do have quite a few on bolts. They're underneath my cutting table. They can get dust on them, yes, but I always wash my fabric before I cut it anyways. It kind of looks like a fabric store. I like the rolls particularly because you can get them where even if your fabric's 57 inches wide, you can roll it and you don't have that crease going down the center. I mean, every once in a while my fabric that I buy will come on a bolt, but I prefer the long rolls. And then I don't have to worry about anything getting kinked up. Sometimes when you get to the end of that roll, if it's been sitting there for a while, you'll have a few little wrinkles, but not too bad. I love this. Debbie says if she organized, she can't find anything.
True.
That's the stage I'm in right now.
My husband, go ahead, Kathy.
I just saw somebody ask about storage for your quilting rulers. I don't have it where I can show, but on the side of my cutting table, I have those little hooks that you can stick on the wall or stick up. I can't say a brand name, but it's not a Brother product, but those little removable sticky hooks. And that's what I store my quilting rulers on, because most everyone that I've got has a hole already in it. They're right handy at my cutting table. I can just grab whichever one I use or need to use at the time.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
So I have, and I'll bring them over so you can see, you know, those bins that sometimes they come in different colors. The drawers are different colors. I think they're a little more stable than they used to be, but I organize all my zippers within there. So the zippers are by length, not color, but length, or metal or plastic, and I'll bring one over. And then also some tips for storing your pattern. But Tina, you've got some more, so I'm going to bring you up I'll bring that over while you're showing some of the stuff in your stash.
All right. So next up, I thought maybe I'd show you another idea for vertical storage. And this one's for hoops because I got lots of hoops. So this is just a small picture of the pegboard wall that I have in my studio. Got hoops, right? Now, while you're looking at this, what I like about it is I can really quickly find all my hoops. I can find the drivers that go with them. You can see I've got extra space for like templates. You see cutting templates up there. And I don't know if you noticed that hanging basket that's on the like top left-hand side. I've got some quilting rulers in there too, the kind of the not the long ones, but the kind of wide ones. I leave those in there. But I just find being able to see stuff really quickly like that saves me a ton of time when I'm working on a project. And again, you know, it really doesn't take up very much space at all.
That's a good idea. In fact, that one so the pegboard, where did you get it? I mean, you can't see where you got it, but just regular pegboard?
Yeah, it's just regular pegboard, and it's got like a 1x2 behind it, so it sticks out from the wall. And then you just run to the hardware store and buy those little hook thingies that are made for men's tools. I don't even know what to call them, but oh, pegs. My husband's telling me they're called pegs. And then oops.
That's a good idea because, you know, I know some people have multiple machines. Now, quite often, many of our hoops will work across all the Brother machines if you are using all Brother, but I like to keep mine organized by size and by machine. So, for example, the Stillair has the hoops where we can take photos, basically screenshots, and send it to the machine. And I like to keep those together because if I'm working on the Stillair, I want to grab those quickly instead of having to dig. So that's really a good idea. And, you know, I would love to know in the comments how many people actually organize or things like that, because I'm going to use that. And I use a curtain rod for my patterns. So that would tie in right next to each other, kind of the same level. That would look really nice.
I love that idea. Yeah.
Kathy, how do you store your hoops?
I use those same stick up little hooks, and I have them on the back of a door, and I just have them all hanging on the door.
Oh, that's a good idea.
You know, we've reconfigured or dismantled my whole sewing wall because I had my machines where I face the wall. And with the new machine that's coming out, it was not going to work. So I had to get rid of an old cabinet, and I ended up getting some, I don't know if you can see it, this table right here, so that they can come out from the wall and the machine has space. They're on wheels so that I can roll them around as I need them. Mm-hmm. And I plan on, we're just waiting for some dry weather so my husband can get out there and paint, but I've got ordered, and they're out in his garage, unfinished kitchen cabinets that I'm going to put at the top.
Oh, that will be very nice.
So all those different bins, not only the baskets, but I have a good variety of little storage bins that I've picked up here and there. They make great. This one especially, I have one in another cabinet that I bought. I bought 2 of those rolling cabinets, but I took all my sewing machine feet, the specialty ones that don't fit in I call it the little beauty box that comes with my machine. So I can put all my optional feet in these little storage trays. And I ended up just cutting this lid off on the one that I've got in there right now. But it's the other thing that I use quite often. Here's a plastic shoebox. And the trick of it is to label everything. So all my metallic threads are right there. And those will also go in the overhead cabinets. And then it doesn't even have to be, like I said, I always think of try to find stuff and use it for something unattended. These little boxes right here I got at a local craft store, and they're for holding photos. Remember when we used to take a roll of film to get it developed, and then you had all those photos and you needed a place to store them? Well, these bins or these little boxes were made for that. And I got them from the
Oh,
hobby store.
that's a great idea. I have some of those bins actually with pictures in it. Do you know, I found while I was organizing this last weekend, not my sewing room, but I found 3 spools of, not spools, but rolls of film that were taken already. And I don't even know where to take them to get them
Developed.
made into pictures now.
I know.
Oh my gosh. I think I barely remember when I was in 7th grade, we took oatmeal boxes and went into a dark room. That was our photography class. I'd like to not say I have to do that this time. So maybe I'll find somebody to do this.
So that one was my button box.
Oh, that's funny.
That's a good idea for buttons.
You know what's cute? I think we're all like where's my camera? P-Touch fans, like label, right? All of us have our P-Touch for labeling.
Oh, yes. Okay, so what color do you use? Pink on my side, of course. In fact, I have a box right here. Everything's pink, and it drives my husband crazy because he'll start to grab my P-Touch and it's all pink. This is how. And so anyways, a couple years ago, I got him his own for his birthday, and now he has like 3 because he likes different colors for the fishing side. And instead of changing them out, he's got them everywhere.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so this is another way that I store a lot of my things. It says seam binding, bias tape, pen facing, piping, Velcro. I mean, hook and loop tape. But this is how I will store these. And, you know, the lid stays secure. I can throw stuff in there. I can see through it a little bit if I have to. And then these can stack on each other so nicely, as long as you don't fill them too high. Yeah, all right, so somebody asked, I'm just going to share my screen real quick. Somebody said, how bad is your studio really? Well, I'm going to show you. And somebody also asked how, they said, how do you store your patterns on a hanger? So I'm going to show you if you can see past everything on the cutting table, but you'll see how I store the fabric. And so let me bring this up. I think I've got, oh yeah. This, if you don't call this a hot mess, I don't know what you call this, but there you go. That is a hot mess. So you can see how I have the rolls. The fabric on top is what I need to put away. And you can just barely see the, look up here. There's the patterns. So the patterns are all on hooks. And that is a hot mess. I told you all that I needed some help here. Now you believe me. But that's how I store it. But I think that next to it, with hanging the hoops, is going to look fantastic. Yeah. All right, Tina, what else do you got for us?
Well, I don't know about anybody else, but do you ever get ready to make a project and you know you bought all the stuff, but like finding it all at the same time before you lose your patience or get too tired to make the project becomes a challenge? I personally have that problem. So let me show you. I try and organize like my projects into these little project bags. And so when I'm ready to do it, like this is a little quilt project I have to do. I've got the quilt top, the backing fabric, the batting. I've already picked out my thread color, and it's all here and ready to go. And for me, this means that I go from, oh, that's a cool idea, let's work on that today, to getting it done, as opposed to, oh, that's a cool idea, and 3 months later, I wonder where I put the backing fabric for that.
That is a very, very, very good idea. Not only for that, but I was working on a couple mug rugs recently, and then I didn't have time to finish them all. And I had lace to go with them. I had binding, all of that matched. And right now it's sitting in a little corner. What a great idea to put it in something like that and then put it away. And when I'm ready, I can just take it out instead of staring at it all the time.
Yeah, it's made a huge difference for me between like having tons of UFOs and actually having finished projects now.
Yeah, Charlene says she does the bag idea. Darlene says, good idea. Anne says, I need to give away patterns. I'll never sew all those. Oh, yes, you will, Anne. Yes, you will.
So I just have to share, in my purge that I've been doing, I had a quilt top that I had made for some dear friends of ours. They were moving from California to Texas, and this has got to be probably 20 plus years ago, but I made a quilt top. All of our friends circle signed the quilt top. I found that quilt top in a project bag in my sewing room closet when I was cleaning a few weeks ago. Unfinished. I mean, it's not been quilted. And I put it in a bag, Tina. I promise. It's in a little bag, but I never finished it. So I think I'm going to finish it and just mail it to her and surprise her and not say anything.
That
in
would be
advance.
very cool. Are you not going to put like the date it started, the date it finished? Makes it sound so
No,
much
we
more
won't.
valuable.
So, I mean, her oldest was an infant when they moved from California to Texas. He's now graduated from college, and she had 2 additional children on top of that. So it's quite old.
That's pretty cool, though. That's pretty cool. Hey, Ann, I saw you popped in. Yes, you can watch this again, and it's a good thing you're out gardening. That's awesome. You forgot about us, but it's okay, because even if you're watching the replay, as soon as we're not live here, you can watch it on YouTube, Brothers YouTube channel, and their Facebook channel, and still leave your comments and questions if you're watching the replay, because we always go back and check those. All right. Everyone's saying they love these ideas. Zena says that my box matches my sweater. You're right. You think I like chevron? Just a little bit. Oh, a lot of people are saying they love the pattern organization idea. They love the bag idea. That's a great way to do that. And a lot of people hear you, Kathy, on that one. Well, I think, I don't know if my mom's watching, so maybe I shouldn't say this. Mom, I'm not making fun. I'm just saying, like, I can relate, because she made a quilt, a baby quilt for my sister with her when she was having her second, but she ended up having 2 and 3 at the same time. She had twins. And so my mom's like, well, I made this whole quilt. I don't have time to make another one. So guess what? She waited long enough, and now she gave it to my sister with her 4th. So there's no date on it, and it was still finished. It still had cute little things on it for the baby quilt. So you just never know. You never know the story behind all of these.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. So I have a question.
Go ahead, Tina.
Sorry, do you guys find that your cutting table, I mean, it's supposed to be like mission control. It's supposed to be this clean white space where you can organize your
Did you see that? Did you see this table right here? That table's crazy.
Does anybody have any great ideas to, like, whenever I go to use it, it's cluttered in, like, I don't know, 30 seconds, right? And so I'm curious if anybody else has solved the beast. I'll even show, I've got a picture, like I've tried. So let me show you. I have cabinets that tuck in underneath my cutting table on both sides. So let's look.
I got to see this. Oh, that's a great idea. Yes, I have those. They don't look that nice, though.
So I basically, like, got my stellar accessories in a drawer, my luminaire accessories in a drawer. And in the top drawer on both sides of the cutting table, I have all my scissors and my rotary cutters, and I've got my long quilting rulers tucked up under there. And so that seems like I'd be able to keep the cutting table cleaned off, right? But that's not reality.
That looks good, though. I like that.
I wondered if anybody who's watching, if you have an idea, like, do you have to have a rule set? Do you have to get slapped on the hand when you put something on the cutting table? I mean, how do we keep it clean?
So I'm just going to walk over here. I got to show you this. So yes, I'm wearing leggings and a tank top, and I just throw on a cute sweater. But some of you asked, like, where do you keep some of this stuff? So right now, I have 8 projects on here, and someone said, how do you hold your patterns together? I hold them here with clips. And then there's these little hangers, which I have a whole stack of them here, because this was organization project last week. You can see I've got big pieces of paper. I use that for spraying the 505, but see how they hang on here? So I'll bring them over to my table to show you, but it's kind of a cool idea. And if you can't find these, you can always message me. So these are just office clips. And so this was from a pattern hack that I threw in. And then if you get the clip large enough, the hanger, which hangs on the curtain rod, and I've been doing this, oh my gosh, since when I started designing clothes out of college in '94. It's like, what are you gonna do with all these patterns, And so they hang, and you can stack a whole ton of these together. I label them so I can just kind of quickly glance and see what pattern it is or what pattern hack. And then every once in a while, I'll go through and kind of purge. I might have some old patterns that I was playing with that didn't fit right. Or one tip for you, though, is if you're making garments, to try on that pattern, well, not the pattern, but make a muslin out of it, take notes. And a lot of times if I have the muslin cut out of that pattern, I'll hang that on a regular hanger in a different closet and label it and put a little hang tag that says the date, approximate size I think I was at the time, or whatever. Did it fit? Was it too tight? And just so I have notes. So when I want to go sew that again, if I've adjusted and weighed all, or if anything has changed, or if I didn't really like the pattern, I'll know what to change. And it saves a lot of time. It really saves a lot of time. So binder clips and a hanger and a curtain rod. Curtain rods are pretty cheap. At least they used to be.
That's awesome.
So that's that. And then the other thing that I always lay out, I hang my rulers, my quilter's ruler, that most of them have a hole in the top, and I just have 2 big nails next to my other cutting, or at the end of my cutting board, and I hang them on the wall. If you've ever watched me during a live show, I'm walking all over. Where's my ruler? Why isn't it on the wall? Because I left it on the table and it's underneath all of that stuff. Oh gosh. Oh, that's a good idea, Debbie. She buys muslin and uses old sheets. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Any other ideas? More tips? Oh, I have a tip here. So Kathy, remember when we did that serger class for brother? So anyone who bought the airflow serger, they got access to the master class. We actually gave this away, not the booklet. You have to print it yourself. But I keep my sewing and my serging in big bins like this. Sometimes I label it on the outside. In fact, Joanne Banco just sent me a sewing one. I love it. And she put my name on the outside, all embroidered. I thought that's a little more jazzy than what I have here, but I have all my notes here, and I keep that for if it's a specific machine. If there's something embroidery, I have these bins and I can just quickly go through like a resource book and find out what stabilizer I used with what fabric, or for the serging, what stitch I used for finishing. Because I'll tell you what, I think no matter how hard I try, if you ask me right now, Kathy, to go and change the machine to this, this, and this, I still have to look at what some of the settings are as far as the adjustments for the serger. So do you girls have any tips for that, for storing your serging or specific things for your machine that you want to keep in your mind?
I do what you do. Binders.
Yeah. Binders. I have a project idea or project inspiration binder. So if I see something, or I was out shopping with my mom the other day and I said, oh, wait a minute, I need to take a picture of this. It was just something that I don't even remember what it was right off the top of my head, but it was something that I thought I could take that idea just a little bit further with maybe a feature on one of our machines.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Robin says she takes her stuff from her cutting table to her ironing station and back and forth. So they're both always a mess. Oh, you know what, Robin? We love you. Oh, that's a good idea. Zena said she did the same thing for interfacings for her bag making.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
That's good.
Very good idea.
My cutting station, my cutting table was one that I had. It was a furniture company that would custom build to your height 20 plus years ago. And so I'm not getting rid of my cutting table for that specific reason, but I'm kind of like Tina, and I have storage drawers underneath that cutting table, but I also have my stabilizer underneath the cutting table, and I'll lift it up here if I can pick it up. It's heavy. It's just a basket.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the handles and you can see all the stabilizers and interfacing, and that just stays tucked right up under the end of my cutting table, and it's real handy to reach and pull it up. But before I leave for a trip, I always try to make sure that my cutting table is clean because that's where my husband drops all the mail. Oh my God.
I love it. So what I'm missing out on, Kathy, I hear is motivation. Maybe my husband could leave me snacks on my cutting table when I'm out of town. But only
No, my
sadly,
husband doesn't open the mail. He just dumps it all, everything on my cutting table.
That's funny.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so I did bring up, and I don't know why it keeps taking somebody out of here. So let's bring Kathy back up here. Whoops, sorry. I'll bring all of you. So I did bring up my bin. You can see my fabric rolls. These are the bins I use. I organize zippers in there. For this particular bin, I think this one isn't a zipper one. This has needles, fabric labels. Oh my gosh, this is one of my first labels. Obviously, I don't throw anything out. I've got bias tape in here, belt loops. And then I have these organized, though, where I know everything is. Snaps are down at the bottom here that I'm dropping all over the floor. So I have about 4 of these bins. They're not very expensive, and you can just put them wherever. And then what I do is take that. Let me get that out of there. I take that, and so the other bins are on the other side. I have all zippers, jacket zippers, like I mentioned, the shorter zippers. So if I'm trying to find something quickly, usually mine is also color, but I'm always looking for a certain length, 7-inch, 4-inch, 14-inch. And so I label the front with the P-touch of what length. And it might be a combination. Maybe it's like 12 to 14 inches, open zippers for jackets, that kind of thing. So, and I would think people who sew a lot of bags, that might be a little useful, somewhat useful for them, because it's an easy way to find them. And then those, they have wheels. And so sometimes when I'm sick of looking at them, like I will be at the end of cleaning, this is the end of this week, we should do a part 2 next week. Like, what did we organize in our studio this week? And let's do a before and after.
Oh, that's funny.
But I can move them around and get them out of sight if I don't want to see them, or if they're in the way or whatever. I think everything in my studio, I'm looking around to double check, everything's on wheels because I'm doing a lot of filming as well. But even when I used to just sew in my one little room in my apartment way back then, everything was on wheels, so I could move it easily if I had to move around. And you know, nowadays, you were talking about the embroidery machines with these larger hoops. You have to be able to, you're not going to want that table in the middle of your room all day. So if it has wheels, you can move it out a little bit while you're embroidering. I found that even when I was testing some of these designs, you're using that big hoop. If it bumps a wall or you bump it, you're going to have a problem. Like AKA Houston. Yep. Yeah. So I think that I love that idea of having things on wheels, and no matter what you're using, if it's storage or tables or whatever, then you can move them around.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think everything in my room is also on wheels because you're right. You have to like even this weekend, I was working on a quilt and it was big. So I basically rolled the table my luminaires on next to the cutting table and used the cutting table to help support the weight of the quilt. Right. And it took like 3 seconds to do.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
That's really nice. And you know, even if you have a table that doesn't have wheels, I have a couple cabinets behind me, which you won't be able to see even if I tried to get you over there. Very similar to what you were showing, Tina, those black tables or those black. I have some of those that were wooden. I got them at a craft store. They did not have wheels. And I went to the hardware store and they sell all the different size wheels, screwed them in the bottom. And now I'm like, oh, this is great. So then I got a little carried away and put wheels on everything. But it works. It works great. And again, you can move things around.
Yep.
All right.
Exactly.
I'm just checking the comments. Hey, Gwen, I also use one of those for thread too. She said she uses her threads in those rolling carts. For threads, when I have multiple colors, stuff like that, or stuff I don't use a lot, I throw them in there too. Just an eat. Now, that's not really organized for me because I still have to go dig if I have to find it. But yeah, Barbara says the wheels are a must. All right. Any questions, you guys? Any suggestions? Or do you have any more to share, you two?
I do.
All right.
So
come on up, Kathy.
As I'm redoing everything, so I got rid of the quilt that hung over the window to block the light, and I got new what are they called? Room darkening roller shades. But then right next to it, I wanted to paint the room or to get some color in here. And I was thinking about maybe just finding a fun wallpaper. But my daughter-in-law is a school teacher. So she told me about this bulletin board covering. And I've got it temporarily hung up on my wall back here because I haven't decided if I want the plank look to run horizontal or vertical. I noticed Tina's back is horizontal, so that's just temporarily hung up. But the one nice thing about having that on the wall next to where my sewing cabinet is at is I can write on that with a dry erase marker and it wipes right off. So if I'm working on a project
on your wall,
this has a coating on it because it's made for teachers' classrooms for their bulletin boards.
What a great idea.
That's awesome.
And you can write on it and then wipe it off. So like I've got a little in the hoop project that I've been working on and I kept forgetting one of the measurements. So I just wrote it on the wall so that it's right there in front of me.
I love that.
So
that's pretty
it's really cool.
I like that.
And it's almost a canvasy feeling.
Really? So how do you hang it up? Like, is it adhesive or do you just put it up with tacks or how do you attach it?
Well, I attached it the other day with my stapler because that's how they said, that's what the directions said for the teachers to hang it on their bulletin boards. And you can just take a staple remover and pull them out when you want to change your bulletin board.
So does it just come in a big roll or what?
It's 4 foot by 4 foot wide by 12 foot long.
Oh, that's perfect. Oh, I like that idea.
You gotta have some of that, Kathy.
I know. I have a whiteboard.
Get a hold of me. I'll hook you up.
I like that.
So instead of, somebody mentioned about a whiteboard, so instead of having a whiteboard, this is my whiteboard. My whole wall is going to be my whiteboard.
I like that idea because it looks nice and classy. And then when you have stuff on there, Erin says, "How do you get kids to not write on the wall?" How do you kids not to write on the wall? Well, don't put that up on the wall because that might be a problem.
Yeah.
I always was laughing that when the Luminaire came out with the snowball stickers, I call them the snowballs, the placement stickers. My nephews found those and they were all over. They thought they were like legitimate stickers to play with. I'm like, no. So I think the same would go if you could write on the wall. Hey, Lan, she probably can't say where she bought the bulletin board. Was it a hardware store, a craft store? You can say that, Kathy.
It was an online store, a teacher supply online store.
Okay, yeah. So just do an internet search and you'll find that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Someone said I need this in my kitchen. Yeah. And where was this when I taught? I'm thinking the same thing. Where was this when I painted this whole studio? Well, I shouldn't say that. My husband painted, but yeah, you're welcome. And you could message me too. I'll ask Kathy if you want to send me a message.
Yeah.
All these organizing tips. So, okay, since we are thinking also of sewing and a big thing comes up, how do you store your embroidery unit when you take it off? Now, both of you have multiple machines. Some people might only have one. They might not have a cabinet that it fits into. Any suggestions for that? I actually had to take the P-Touch because I had two different machines. They're both brother, but two different sizes for you have to make sure that the embroidery unit goes with the right machine. And at the end, I just labeled it for what machine it was. So I could always, and I put them both on shelves, just at the top of the shelf so I could reach them easily. That was the only way I could think of. Do you girls have any other suggestions or what do you do?
I leave mine on a lot. Sometimes it goes in the luggage, but like you, I have like a metal rack that you can use in the kitchen. Sometimes I call it my machine garage. So the machines that I don't use all the time, go in there in a storage closet because, and then I leave the embroidery units on the top shelf of that when I have them detached.
That's about exactly what mine looks like. Perfect. How about you, Kathy?
If I take them off, then I just set them on any open horizontal space in my sewing room at the time.
Good idea.
You know,
good idea. Helen said she keeps it in the case it came with. Nice. What machine was it that we had that came with a beautiful plastic case for the, oh, it might have just been the hoops. I don't remember. I think I'm thinking back in the Dream Machine days.
yeah, I think it was before the Dream Machine.
Even before
And it
that.
came
Wow.
with a hard molded plastic box. Yeah, my mom still has one.
Yeah, I do too. I love that thing. I don't use it, but I love it. I did love it when I used it. Some of you are asking, how do you store your hoops? Well, you'll want to go back and watch because we gave a whole entire tutorial on that of where to store those. So you'll want to go back when we're finished here. All right. Any other tips, girls?
I guess the last thing.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead, Kathy.
All right. So your office storage, little containers. I've got 3 different sizes. I've got little thread snips and stuff in one, little gizmos that go around a spool of thread, and then the little odds and ends in another. But I'm just keeping them in the drawers right here of this cabinet.
That's a good idea. You can put, that would be a great way to hold your needles and everything together as well. So Tina, you have another one? Did you have another one before I interrupted you?
Oh, so a sort of a take on Kathy's. I do something similar, but I actually got the silverware holders, like for the kitchen, and I put those indoors for scissors and rotary cutters and all that kind of stuff, and that works well. And then anybody who has one of those giant like pill keepers, I sort all my pills in here, and they're all labeled by size and what kind of needle it is. And then I just keep this in a drawer, and then it makes it really quick work to find whatever I'm looking for.
Oh, I like that. What is that? What did you say? That's for pills? Or
yeah, it's for pills. I'm not sure how many pills you have to take to need one this big. But it works great for needles.
That's a good idea because I have a lot of mine. I have in the back, I have some hanging on the wall, but in that bin I just showed, there's a whole bunch in there. I wouldn't even know what they are. And I did get this cool little pad from Rhonda where I can stick like an old needle and know exactly what needle it is. I love that, but this would be a great way to store that. So are you ready for this hot mess? It's like the key word for today. This is how I store my scissors. Hopefully there's no brand on the front. I got this at a cosmetic place where you buy makeup and shampoo, and it stores all my scissors. And in the ends, there's my pins and some marking tools, fabric marking tools. And then on this side, I have, it should be measuring, I'm not sure why I have a spatula with a bunch of, I'm not sure where that came from, but I have my pencils. I have my fabric screwdriver. Yeah, like I said, I don't know how some of this stuff gets in there, but I've got fabric marking, notch tools, and like measuring tools. So usually when this is all organized, it might be about 10 pounds lighter than this is, but I have all my scissors in there, rotary blades, and I have 2 of these. You know, years ago, if you bought a certain amount of shampoo, you got a free bin. So I was like, oh, and then my sister got one. She goes, what am I going to do with this? Like, I'll take it. I'll take it. And it works good for scissors because I can leave them on each end of the cutting table and just cut away. So.
Oh, sure. Plus, you know, you can use them for a workout, right? You can just do bicep curls.
Yeah.
Definitely. Oh, Barbara, that's a good idea. She uses fishing toolbox. Oh, yes. I think I have a few of those down in Wynn's Man Cave. I like the pill holder for needles too. Someone said that they have those pill holders when you want like a 2-week supply. So that's great.
Okay.
So when we're all looking, what do you got there, Kathy?
So the Lazy Susan that you no longer use in your kitchen makes a good thing to set on your cutting table because It spins around to whatever you need.
Oh,
But
that's a good
what
idea.
I use for scissors on my cutting table, Angela, it used to be one of those home party things that they sold. What was it? Cookware, like cookie sheets and, all kinds of little gadgets for the kitchen. And they had this little Lazy Susan that was tiered.
Oh,
And so that stays on my cutting table with all my scissors in, and it spins too.
that would be a good
So,
idea. I don't spend much time in the kitchen, so that's why I'm looking so confused. But I might have to go because there might be one there that I didn't know about, which would be much more useful in my sewing room. Oh, yeah, I think my husband, every time I go to the kitchen, I find more things for my sewing room. Like when I love to dye fabrics, and those they're like tongs, but they have plastic at the end, so you can use them and not scratch your pans. So I took all of those because they're nice and long and they're soft, and I can take my fabric from the hot water to the dye to this, and I slowly transition. And of course, once you put it in the fabric dye, you can't bring it back to the kitchen. So that's okay. I think he's accepted it after 30 years. We're good.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Everyone's giving the ideas. Yeah. You guys, I think you guys got the brand. Oh, yes. And it was the Quattro. It was the Quattro.
Okay.
All right. Well, this has been a super fun show. Super fun show. If you guys have any comments or suggestions, keep them rolling in. Did I miss anything? Did I miss any great tip that you guys had hidden? I think you've already given so much. I can't imagine there could be any more. Oh, here's a question. Denise wants to know, thanks, brother. They're always so good in case these questions. We've had so many comments scrolling through. I missed some.
Oh.
How do you store small travel machines? Any suggestion?
I have a carrier. I have a special little luggage piece that they fit into, and there's a little pouch for all your little notions and stuff you take with you. But I'm guessing it wouldn't be terribly hard to make one with like quilted fabric and a good zipper.
That's why right away I was thinking I keep mine in a zippered pouch that I think that brother sold at some point. I don't know if they gave it with the machine or they had them. But we did show on the live show, I think it was Emily Thompson, a brother ambassador, that showed how to design and make one. And I want to say, I don't know what episode number, but if you go back to the Brother Sewing YouTube channel, look for Emily's shows. I would say maybe it was about 6 months ago, because it was a really easy tutorial of making any machine cover, which was nice because I love that you could put little pouches in there. Like you said, put the sewing tools in there. When I'm here, I have 2 traveling ones because sometimes I'll travel. I mean, I literally take one on the boat sometimes if I'm going to be there for a few days because I end up fixing like the curtains and all the other stuff that besides fishing. And that's the NS, I think it's the NS 80. And that one I just have a nice plastic cover for. So it's very, maybe I should watch the show and make myself a nice cover, but that's where I put it. Or I leave it in a little walking bag. How about you, Kathy? Do you have a travel one that you ever take out?
Just a little, like what Tina was saying, a little fabric bag that zips up that I just tote it around.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, I'm really glad somebody mentioned that because someone says they use small luggage for theirs. We're so used to showing the big, beautiful machines, but there are some great smaller machines that sew beautifully. And I know not everyone has the bigger machines, but if you don't have a lot of space, it's so nice. You can put them in the closet, pull them out when you want to sew. Very easy, very easy. All right. Did I miss anything? I think I got everybody's questions. Super fun. Well, Tina, this has been super fun. Kathy, I want to start writing on my walls. So I got a full disclaimer. Make sure you cover your walls. Now, Tina, you don't have the same backing, right? You can't write on yours.
No, mine is, I'm going to put paneling, I think, up there eventually. I just haven't gotten it done. It's a backdrop for like videos.
Oh, nice. It looks really good. I love it. Everybody's saying what machines they have. So in the chat, because I always go back and read these on the weekends, I want to know what brother machine you have or what brother machines you have, because lately, boy, we've had some, there's a lot of people who still have the Quattro. And one of my fans had wrote recently, I love my Quattro. And I said, I do too. I still use it. I use mine at home when I'm doing some little embroidery. It was kind of like having like your first embroidery machine. I never want to part with it. I never.
Mhm.
So I love to hear what everybody has. We got the Still Air coming in, and yeah, but there's some great travel ones. All right, guys. Well, this has been a super fun hour. Our hour is up, and what a great way to kick off National Sewing Month, aka Organizing Month.
There you go.
As always, it's so great to see you both, and I cannot wait to see. I was joking. We're not doing a show next week to compare who finished cleaning, because I would never. I need like a month.
I won't be here.
We should do one in December, the sort of the pre-organizing look when we're all at our worst, and then come back in January and see what we were able to fix.
I like that. I like that. In fact, maybe we can get like 10 of us on there, so then I only have to fix one thing. That would be a great holiday show. All right. Well, great to see you both. And brother, thanks for letting us take over your page. Until next week, I'll see you next Tuesday. And don't forget, you can catch all the replays on Brothers Sewing Facebook and YouTube channels and the crafting side. And go visit your brother dealer, because they have some really good deals right now. And you can pre-order the new Avenir, which you've seen little sneak peeks about, which I'm going to end with another one just to give you some views. So, all right, everyone. Kathy, Tina, great to see you.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Happy sewing.